Okay, great. So we're hoping to keep it just under 30 minutes, just to leave some time for questions and comments. So let's get started. During today's webinar, we'll be talking about the Project Breakfast Toolkit, of course, but also the tools within it that will help you be successful throughout the challenge, as well as identify some resources to support you, and how New Hampshire Hunger Solutions and our partners, UNH Extension and New England Dairy, can also help support you. So we wanted to start off with just explaining what Project Breakfast Toolkit is. If you haven't had a chance yet to look at it, or this is your first time hearing about it, well, it was a study that was done from the University of Minnesota Extension Program. And it was a study that was conducted over 4 years, and 16 schools participated in it. And it just tested ways to increase breakfast participation and implement some breakfast after the bell models. So if you do want to learn more, hear more about the success stories, or access the toolkit, you can visit the University of Minnesota Extension website. So yeah, the toolkit is essentially a guide that was created for any schools that are looking to do a breakfast after the bell model or just increase breakfast participation. The toolkit lays out all the actions and steps that need to be completed to have a successful project. But you know, we are here to kind of help you sort through it all. But it's great because it has done all of the nitty-gritty planning for you. And so we'll just work together to see which tools that are in the toolkit might work for your school. So just to name an example of some of the tools within it, they have meeting agendas, outlines, evaluations, checklists, work plan templates, spreadsheets. So there's a lot of great tools within it. And so we're going to be going over some of those tools today, but we kind of took the toolkit and kind of tried to break it down into some steps that you could use as a way to approach your project during the challenge. So we'll go over those steps in more detail, and then we chose a couple tools throughout the toolkit that might help you with achieving your goals or help you with that step. So the first step is forming your breakfast team. And then the second step is setting goals and creating an action plan. Step 3 is marketing and implementing some nudges. And then step 4 will be to monitor the project after you start and evaluate the project at the end of the year. And so I'll turn it over to Ruth now.
Thank you, Karyn. Hello, everyone. My name is Ruth, and I am going to go over the first step at helping you to create your breakfast project. So to create a school breakfast project, it is important to have a reliable and dedicated team. So it is important to choose individuals who are passionate about making a positive impact, even those who may not currently participate in the program. By working together, you can make a real difference in the lives of your students, helping them to succeed both in and out of the classroom. It is very important to keep in mind that each school's team may vary. Project Breakfast recommends having 5 to 8 members to provide different perspectives. So the more members you have, the more help you'll get. And anyone can be a team member, so feel free to invite those people who can't commit as resource for your team. Some examples of these resources could be either parents or students who don't typically eat school food and they could be great additions to your team. Next slide. And now would be a good time for you to think about who would you like to invite to your school breakfast team. If you don't already have a team, you can think about it and feel free to put it in the chat. And some of the team members can be anyone that's part of your school, whether it's a bus driver, parents, or guidance counselors, or your school nurse, school administrators can all be part of your team. And even the New Hampshire Hunger Solutions team is also happy to be a part of your team and participate in meetings as needed. Also, Laura from the University of New Hampshire Extension is happy to assist schools with 50% or more students receiving free or reduced meals. Pass it over to Karyn to go over the next step.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so one of the great tools that's available as you start building your team are the making a difference talking points and the addressing concerns talking points. So it's just a handout that goes over some as you start to meet with members of the team who you want on your team, just things that come up in conversation and maybe some concerns they might be having. So it just gives you some talking points to kind of address some of those. At the making a difference one is what we have an example of, and this tool is really great because it helps to point out what everyone's doing that already. That's really great and helpful because everyone is doing really great work, and it points out a couple opportunities where they could help along with the challenge. So it's just a nice tool to have if you're kind of wondering where to start, what and how to approach people who you want to join your team. And so the next step was the action planning step. And so this is where you'll want to consider where you want to take your project and try to set some goals and assess what the current offerings are and the current procedures are for your challenge in your school. And so we are here to kind of help you create all that. And we'll help you look at more of what the procedures are and hear some more of the barriers of what's been going on and what's been working. And every school's capacity might be a little bit different. So we'll be there to kind of help you through all of that. Maybe this year it's not your intention to do a breakfast after the metal model, but just increase some participation, and that's okay. We'll be here to kind of help you work through that. So the first tool we'll talk about is the planning tool, and this one is called Assessing Opportunities for School Breakfast Expansion. This is basically a checklist that lets you look at the existing conditions of the school and areas for opportunity. So you just kind of answer yes or no to some of the questions. Examples are students willing to eat breakfast at school? Yes or no. Do teachers recognize the benefits of school breakfast? Yes or no. So it just kind of helps you to give you a starting point. If teachers, are not on there, then it'll help okay, maybe we need to try and, connect more with the teachers to get them on board. So it's just a tool to use for a starting point. I really like this tool too, because it gives you the opportunity to look at the percentage of daily participation that you have for all students, but also those that are free and reduced. So you can connect with your food service director for that. But we at New Hampshire Hunger Solutions can help you with that information too and help filling that out. So these are just some examples of some goals that other schools have used. The most obvious would be to increase, breakfast participation by students. And it could be all students or again, just those free and reduced. And then some other goals to kind of look at would be maybe improving school attendance, decreasing tardiness, and then also decreasing visits to the school nurse for hunger related visits. So those are just some examples of some goals that you could do. And so when you're picking goals, it's good to have something that's measurable, just so that at the end of the year, you can look back and see all of the great work, you did throughout the year, and measure those at the end. So those are just a few examples. If you'd like to share in the chat, any of the goals that you're working on within your school, feel free, or any ideas for goals that you think might work for your school, please add to the chat. All right. And so when it comes to after you have your goals, what's the next step? Well, that would be probably the action planning phase. And so this is one tool that we can help you use, but essentially it's just a template for an action plan. It's really great because it's just there for you. All you have to do is kind of plug in some of the information, and it'll ask you what tasks you're working on that need to be done to meet your goal. And it will assign team members for each task and a completion date. So it basically just lays down all the actions. You can put on this what nudges you want to use, or what tasks need to be done for a breakfast delivery model, a breakfast after the bell delivery model. And this tool too, it doesn't have to be set in stone. Oh, I need to do this by this date. We understand, things are constantly changing. So this action plan will always be evolving, but it's nice to just kind of have down, what you're working on, and what to do next. So step 3, after you have, all of the goals down and the plan set, will be to market the project. And basically spread the word about all of the work that you're doing to increase the participation. So you'll work with your team to decide on a communications plan, and just work together to kind of promote the project and use some of the marketing tools. There's so many great ways that you can promote your project, but example of some of the ones that have worked for some of these schools would be planning a breakfast week, or doing some taste testing with the students, but also the parents. Getting the parents involved is very helpful, and just kind of, doing taste testing with them will kind of show that more about what the offerings are, and how school breakfast is healthy. A lot of other schools will do newsletters or use their school website as well. One school even used report cards, so that way they would be sure to reach all of the parents. They put messaging about, breakfast, the breakfast program in the report. So that's another way to kind of promote it. And so in addition to all of those great ideas, there are a lot of other tools and resources to help you with marketing as well. So within the Project Breakfast Toolkit, they have some messages already created to promote free and reduced meal applications. They have examples of some signage, which you could see is the first square of what you could do. Putting maybe sandwich signs in front of the doors in the morning with the menu. UNH Extension, their Nudge Toolkit is another really great resource for using marketing tools. They have bulletin boards already created for you for ideas. They have breakfast announcement ideas and a social media toolkit to be used. And New England Dairy also has that as well, a social media toolkit, as well as posters about the benefits of drinking dairy and other monthly promotion guides. So there are a lot of marketing tools out there that we can, help you with as we go along and help strategize ways to promote the program. And so I'm going to turn it back over to Ruthie.
Thank you, Karyn. So now that you have learned about the 3 steps, it's time to introduce the last one, which is how to monitor and evaluate your project. So after you've implementing the nudges or the breakfast after the bell, it is important to regularly evaluate your progress by using surveys, focus groups, visits with either students or teachers, and also reliable evidence. So it's also great to celebrate your accomplishments and identify opportunities for improvement. Next slide. It is highly recommended to use 2 valuable tools for monitoring and evaluating your project. These tools are the School Breakfast Expansion Progress Monitoring Form and the Profit and Loss Worksheet. The monitoring form is designed to guide you through a set of questions to help you identify what is working and what is not. It is also a space for additional steps that may be necessary, and also to help compare your current participation data versus data that you have before the project was introduced. On the other hand, the Profit and Loss Worksheet is a downloadable tool that can help to measure your school's progress by determining if any reduction in meal debt was taking place. Next slide. Some additional tools are the Breakfast Expansion Year-End Evaluation Form, which is an excellent resource for assessing whether you have met your initial objectives or achieved unexpected success. The form provides a chance for you to review breakfast participation data and include any school attendance or tardiness records, even information from the school nurse. And the last form that's on the slide here is to help facilitate the team to discuss any potential opportunities for improvement in the upcoming school year. Thank you, and I'll pass it along to Karyn.
Thank you, Ruth. So yeah, that was just, a snapshot of all of the great tools that are available to help you throughout the entire process. There's a lot of great tools that we didn't mention within the Project Breakfast Toolkit. So I encourage you all to take a look if you haven't already. We're going to be going into more depth with some of these marketing tools using social media, helping to look at school data in upcoming webinars. But our next one is going to be January 16th at 1:30, and that's when we'll be going over more breakfast after the bell models in more detail. But we did just want to, open it up in case there are any questions. So feel free to come off mute or put your questions in the chat. And so we do my emails there, Laura and Becca from Laura's from UNH Extension and Becca is from New England Dairy. If you have any questions after today's webinar, please reach out to myself or one of them if you have any questions about any of their marketing tools. But yeah, that concludes today's webinar. I will be sharing the Project Breakfast Toolkit as well as the slides from today and the recording as well. And so if you have a few minutes, I'd like to just put in the chat an evaluation. It's just 4 questions. If you have, a few extra minutes, I can put that in there for you. But thank you all so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all.